question is, why did the European Physical Society decide to make the cabinet in this building a part of its program, historical program?
So, the European Physical Society in 2011, when I happened to have the pleasure of being the president of the society and the immediate president, was inspired by an analogous initiative of the American Physical Society. They have this initiative ongoing since many years. So we started in Europe more recently, and the idea is to recognize places in Europe that are significant for the history and the development of physics. So these are the two keywords that we can apply to this institute and to the personality of Professor Academician Nadjakov. For his seminal discoveries concerning solid-state physics, there will be a symposium later on about the physics and the applications of this important discovery related to the photoelectric effect. But in addition, Academician Nadjakov has been a leader in science, a promoter of science, a manager of science, doing a lot to develop science in his country. So this is the reason why the European Physical Society, while examining some proposals coming spontaneously from various European countries, has decided to recognize this place as a historical place in Bulgaria.
Could you tell us several other places that are already in the program? And maybe which one is going to be the next? Do you know already?
So we have received, since the beginning, roughly 40 proposals. And there is a committee made of myself. Then we have members, typically past presidents of the European Physical Society, and a representative from the American Physical Society, Committee of Historic Sites, and the chair of the History of Physics group of the European Physical Society. And we collect these proposals and examine them typically twice per year. So out of these 40 proposals, we have approved almost all of them, and they belong to, I think I wrote it down, to something like 18 different countries. Yes, 18 different countries. And this place here is the 17th that has been inaugurated since the start of this program. So the first one was the Institute of Physics of Enrico Fermi in Rome. Actually, not the Institute of Physics, but the fountain in the garden, where he was studying the role of hydrogen-rich substances to moderate neutrons in nuclear reaction chain processes. Then we had France, Poland, Russia, the study of Bruno Pontecorvo in Vienna, Sweden, Germany, Hungary, Denmark, the UK, and Spain, very recently. So 10 countries, and this is the 11th. We have many significant places, let me tell you, but the last two were the Blackett Laboratory at Imperial College in London. And you know, Blackett was the Nobel Prize for his experiments with cosmic rays. And then there was in Barcelona, Spain, just a few weeks ago, another historic site on the Fabra Observatory. This is an astronomical observatory which has discovered plenty of things, but in addition it is the fourth oldest observatory still working. It was built at the beginning of the last century, still working, although everything is mechanic. You change the inclination of the telescope, you open the window, everything is by hand. So it's a very interesting place and located on a nice place of Tuscany. So the next one, in a few weeks from now, CERN. CERN with the first accelerator built at CERN, which is the so-called SC, synchrotron cyclotron. And this will be on the occasion of the 60th anniversary since CERN was founded. And the European Physical Society loves CERN because, you know, it was founded by the then CERN research director, Gilberto Bernardini, in 1968 at CERN. So it is very significant. Another historic site that will come soon is the Einstein House in Bern, probably next year. And another significant one, probably next year as well, is the Hotel Métropole in Brussels, where the first Solvay conference with Madame Curie, etc. took place. And these places probably will be inaugurated in 2015 because it's going to be, as you probably already know, the International Year of Light, as declared by the United Nations. So it will be another occasion to celebrate with these historic sites.
But the today historic place is the 17th.
It's the 17th inaugurated
We have
in the 11th country, different country.
I have two questions. I want first. First, how could you make important monuments of science more popular to young people in the world?
It's a very good question, yes. I think that the goal of this initiative, I don't know whether it is addressed to young people only. I think it's addressed to everybody because, you know, we're all used to the cultural heritage. Significant places like beautiful monuments and so on. Then we're all used to the environmental heritage, national parks, and these beautiful beaches and so on, islands. And nobody is used to the scientific cultural heritage. So the idea is to start stamping places across Europe that are significant, as said, for not only science, but its development, but also the history of science. Then how do you make it more popular with young people? If this initiative gets to be known, then, you know, these initiatives are important because they are along the spirit of the European Physical Society to create an identity of scientists. We belong to the same community. To create an atmosphere of collaboration without borders, without secrets. We all belong to the country of science, which is unique and encompassing everybody. And on the other hand, we have in Europe an identity as scientists. So if we create, with this symbolic stamping of places, this kind of atmosphere, then I think that young people might understand that being scientists, they belong, they can aspire some spirit of belonging to a certain intellectual and scientific environment represented by science and by its most significant places. So this is the very ambitious goal. I don't know, but it's up to young people then to follow.
My second question, as we know, physics is an expensive science, so we have some kind of division between countries. Some have more money for physics and some countries have less money. So what is the role of the European Physics Society when it comes to activities for reducing the fragmentation for physics research, funding and education between several countries in Europe?
You know, I know I missed what happens, for instance, at CERN. So at CERN you have now 21 member states. Israel has joined last year. And these member states, they pay contributions to CERN, which are not the same. Italy pays much more than Bulgaria and less than the UK, for instance. and that's Germany, but like France, more or less. And we are a community, and at CERN we all have the same rights. So this is essential that you make the facilities available to everybody on equal grounds in a very democratic way. Then, of course, you say physics. I think that it depends very much from one country to the other. In the past, in the United States, I think that physics was really the most funded discipline in all respects. And nowadays, much less. So there is a sort of decline of the funding of physics. If you listen to the director of the lab, Professor Sofia, he's, I wouldn't say desperate, but almost. So there are also periods of time when some disciplines are more funded than others, and where some sectors are more funded than others. For instance, nowadays, I know that lots of funding will go on a very interesting aspect of science, which is brain science, neural science, which is extremely interesting. But this does not mean that you have to shut down other research. Research is really incompatible. So I think that apart from fluctuations, physics will continue to have its role.
Could you tell us about the projects you're working on at CERN?
At CERN?
And whether you have worked with scientists from Bulgaria?
Yes. So I have mostly worked with scientists from Bulgaria in the CERN Council, when I was a member of the CERN Council. Because the CERN Council has a double component, scientists and representatives of the ministries and secretaries of state. So at that time, I have met your representative, who was an academician, and I remember very good collaboration. Concerning my research, I work in one of the big experiments at AHC, the Large Collider, the one called ALICE, which stands for a Large Island Collider Experiment. And this experiment looks in particular for collisions between heavy nuclei, lead nuclei, to try and understand what happens when, due to these very high energy collisions between nuclei containing plenty of nucleons, then you get a new state of matter where the components, the elementary components, which are the quarks and the gluons contained in these hundreds of nucleons that collide one against the other, decombine. They are not combined anymore in the nuclei, and they create a fireball, which has a temperature something like 100,000 higher than the one in the sun. And this will reproduce what theorists and cosmologists believe would have happened 1 microsecond after the Big Bang. So this is what we are studying, this kind of very dense and energetic state of matter created at LHC through the collisions of nuclei of lead against lead.
And our last question, you were the first woman in charge of the European Physical Society. Do you think that right now it's harder for a woman to have a successful career in physics? Do you think that men and women are equals in science?
Difficult question. I think my colleague, the gentleman scientist, should answer to this question. They should take care of us, to give us the good opportunities. I was very lucky in my career. I always had strong support of my male colleagues. And this is part of my quote-unquote success. Clearly, without this, no matter how good you are, since you have the duties that men don't have by definition, then it is hard. You do not get the appropriate help at the appropriate time. So an example for all that I always quote our friend Anna, over there, who is, by the way, she is still a member of the Equal Opportunities Committee of the European Physical Society, and the anecdote is that when I had a baby, I was living in Geneva, and it was in 1982, and I was the first person at CERN to obtain the following. There was a truck which drove to my place downtown in Geneva, and they unloaded a big computer terminal in the Parker, brought it upstairs, and with the modem on telephone it was connected to the mainframe of CERN. And this is how, when I had taken my and sent computer jobs and analyzed data from my place. So if with nowadays technologies, wireless things, you allow women to do the same, stay at home and work, that would solve 50% of the